Nikolai, you've had little time to recover from last night's match, but you're into another semi-final, so how are you feeling?
I don't know. We'll see in the match. Really, just warm up 10 minutes, feel good. Have not yet, no pain, but we'll see how we feel in the match.
So if it is going to be 13th time lucky against Roger, what are you going to have to do to beat him?
I don't know. It's the same every match where I tried to beat him and it didn't happen. For sure, I was playing three matches very good, and I hope I played the same like yesterday, and we'll see how I enjoy this match today.
Good luck.
Thank you.
He knew these questions were coming. When you've lost 12 times in a row to somebody, you're inevitably going to be asked, what will you do differently? I wonder if he can do something differently.
Hello.
There's Roger. Barry, over to you.
Well, Roger, you've had a tough start in each of your matches this week, but here you are in your 12th semi-final of the season, so how are you feeling?
Feeling fine, you know, still mentally and physically fresh enough for the rest of the weekend. You know, I had quite a bit of a break leading into Basel. Had 6 weeks off after the sort of Davis Cup, after the US Open, so I feel I still have enough left in the tank.
You have a great record against Nikolai, but not the day to be complacent out there.
No, obviously not, and we haven't played in a long time. I think last time we played might have been on clay in Estoril last year, so that's over 1.5 years ago now. So obviously games evolve. It seems like he's serving much better because he had some serving issues a few years ago. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting match. I don't really like to say I like playing him just because of the record, but he's a tough player. I've had some really difficult results against him, so I expect the same again today.
We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Well, some difficult matches, but they've all ended the same way. Pat, why? Why can't Davydenko get the better of Federer?
Oh, well, I'm starting to wonder that myself, actually. Maybe Peter's got a better reason, but, you know, that's... I mean, Federer is such a brilliant player, and I haven't seen Davydenko play as well this week as he has almost any time. I think this court sort of suits his game, really, and I think it almost... I would say that he's got a really good chance. The question mark is about his fitness. You know, how fit he's going to be towards the end of a third set. But you know, Sampras can mix the play up so much. You know, serve volley, chip charge, and keep the ball low.
Looking calm, just another big match for this great player. Just listening to the introductions again there, the world #1. Of course, he got used to that for so long, then it was taken away from him. Now he knows it's his come the end of this year. Do you think that just gives him that little extra surge again after perhaps become a little used to it in the past?
I think it feels good. I think Roger he's very comfortable being known as the best in the world. Not many people would be, but he certainly is, and you know, he carries it well, doesn't he?
He certainly does.
So just having a look down the matchups that these two players have had over the years, and There's been a couple of times where Federer has sort of got on top of him. The last time they played, as Roger mentioned, was Estoril, where it was 7-6, 2-1, and Davydenko hurt himself, retired. But there's been some absolute battles in there too. 7-5 in the third, 7-6 in the third, 6-4 in the third, 7-6 in the third, 7-5 in the third, 7-5 in the third. So, you know, clearly it hasn't been a whitewash.
But he's come up, and Federer made a good point, that Davydenko's serving has improved a lot. I think his overall game has improved a lot. This could be a different affair.
And maybe Davydenko will just be loose. He knows he's tired. He knows he's the underdog. Perhaps he can go out and swing with no pressure on his shoulders at all. As he said yesterday, if I lose a match, I'm off on my holidays. Greg Ruzetsky's courtside once again. Greg, any chance for the Russian today as far as you're concerned?
I think it's going to be very difficult for Davydenko today, because if you compare the two matchups, Federer does about everything better than Davydenko, apart from the backhand return of serve and the backhand. He's got more variety in his game. He can come forward. He can mix it up. They always have tight matches, but at the end of the day, it's Roger Federer who always comes through that. When you're 12-0 against somebody, the greatest player of all time, it's going to be a hard task.
Do you think Davydenko is capable of doing something just a little different today that could make a difference?
Well, I think he's serving a lot better. What I've really been impressed with from Davydenko has been his transition forward. He has volleyed so much better than he has in the past, and he's willing to take it on and come forward once in a while, which is a good mix, which you're going to have to take it on Federer once in a while, because if it's not working metronomically from the back of the court, right, left, you've got to do something to change it up, and that's an extra dimension, and the serve's going to be key for him as well.
And one other point, Greg, why do you think Federer's made such a slow start? He's been broken in each of his first service games this week. That's very un-Federer-like, isn't it?
It is very un-Federer-like, but the first match I think he was a little nervous. He lost his last two matches, and then he played a poor first set, came through in three. Against Murray, you know, there's always an edge. And then against Del Potro just played a phenomenal game to break him in the first game. So I think he'll be up for this one. I think he'll be a little bit more calm. And also in semis here at these World Tour Championships, he's 5-1, so he's going to be extremely confident, and I don't expect him to be broken in the first game again.
You've been gauging the atmosphere for us all week. What's it like this afternoon?
Oh, the atmosphere is tremendous. When Federer came out, there was a roar, and Nikolai Davydenko had a slight smile on his face because he knew this crowd wants Federer to win today.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah, Davydenko has been asking politely after his wins this week, will you support me again in my next match? I mean, he had plenty of support last night, to be fair, against Soling, but he knew when he was up against this guy that his supporters would struggle to be heard.
I think Davydenko, though, has charmed the crowds here this week and over the last couple of months. The guy's really shown us a bit of personality that hadn't really come through before, and I think he's enjoying himself.
Well, we were talking last night about, you know, maybe he could have been marketed in a slightly different way, because he has got that rather engaging personality and that lovely little sense of humour which keeps coming out during his interviews.
Well, you sort of got to look at the other players that he's sort of marketed against, and just look at the Russian players that come just before him. Of course, you've got Kafelnikov, who is you know, world #1 and an absolutely brilliant player, and then Marat Safin, another Russian. You know, so he's sort of, you know, personality-wise, he's plain compared to those guys. They're great personalities and great athletes, and so, you know, he sort of slipped under the radar. Yeah, sure he has, and you know, he's certainly not built like Rafa Nadal, and you know, he's not exactly a hunk. I'm sure his wife would disagree with me, but you know, but he's a great player, and he's happy to just go along and look at that. 11 million, maybe 12 million by the time he finishes here. That's not a bad career for a guy who nobody really pays attention to.
And that's a statistic I suspect he looks at very closely, you know, without generalising too much. The Russians do want to maximise their earnings, don't they?
They do. They get out there, they work hard, you know, they're very efficient, they're very, very professional, and you know, they're out there to get the titles, but you know, titles will come with improvement, and you know, I think he's comfortably financially, obviously now, and you know, he'd love to grab a title now that he's you know, solidified himself as one of the really solid players of this generation.
Yes, his consistency has been remarkable, Peter. That one major prize is just missing from the CV, and we've spoken about it on many occasions. It's going to be tough, perhaps, to grab it at this relatively late stage in his career.
Well, yeah, I think it will be. I mean, he certainly, though, has made strides in attempting to develop a bigger game. I mean, he's serving a lot of times over 130 miles an hour. Well, how does he do that? He's 5'11", he weighs 11 stone. I mean, you can see him. He's pretty slightly built, yet he's got you know, power of a whippet almost. You know, so he's you know, he's still growing. He's still growing, even though he's in his late 20s. So you know, I don't know. I don't think you can with a certainty say he'll never win a major.
Not many people have won majors sort of over 30. I'm just trying to think of
Gomez.
For the first time,
First time for the last several years.
Andre Medvedev, he got to the final, almost beat Agassi.
Well, we know inside the auditorium, Federer has the bulk of the support. Let's hear what one or two people have been saying outside.
Roger Federer, always.
Davydenko fan, yeah. Well, I mean, Federer's going to be the favourites going in there, but I think you've got to watch out for Davydenko.
Yes, Davydenko.
Definitely Federer. I mean, I'm secretly a Federer fan, but I think Davydenko's he's probably going to do it.
Oh, he's such a lovely gentleman and such a representative of the sport. How could you not enjoy watching him play?
I actually rate Davydenko.
Come on, Davydenko, давай.
Go, Roger!
Go, Roger.
Go, Davydenko! Go, Roger!
Go, Davydenko!
Go, Roger!
Plenty of passion, plenty of smiling faces. More than 200,000 people have already been here this week. We've still got a couple of sessions to go. It's been a raging success. Well, Peter's going to head off to the commentary box very shortly. I'm just getting the impression that you're not totally writing this guy off, though.
No, I'm not. I think Federer is the favorite, certainly, but I wouldn't say he's a prohibitive favorite. You know, he's been a bit off and on this week, Federer that is, and Davydenko has been great. He just has played superbly throughout. So, you know, he's got a shot here.
Pat, what's going to happen?
Well, look, I do think Roger's going to win, come through. In a way, I kind of hope Davydenko does, because he's actually been the most consistent player of the tournament so far. I think Del Potro has been the most improved, and you know, I think Roger's sort of a bit lucky this week, and you know, he's been a bit inconsistent. He does play so well under big occasions, though. I mean, the record he had for a while there in finals was something like 13 and none earlier on in his career, and you know, he's just very, very tough when it comes to big matches. But I think, again, it's just a question mark of Davydenko's mentally as well as physically, whether it's just got too much for him.
Thanks, Pat. Let's settle back and enjoy. Up in the commentary box waiting for us is Mark Petchey.
And it's Roger Federer, the world number one, who will begin the first of today's two semi-finals. Quickly into his stride. He's never put a foot wrong against this man. As Pat and Peter have been talking about in the studio, 12-0, and in fact has won the last 22 out of 23 sets that these two have faced off against each other. Overwhelming favourite. And already a good illustration of why. Got off to a slow start against Juan Martín del Potro. Never really fully recovered in that opening set. And much like Peter Fleming, doesn't make the same mistake twice.
We'll see about that. No, he just puts so much pressure on Davydenko, doesn't he, with the first serve? Federer, of course, not known to have the biggest serve, not like a Roddick or a Karlovic, but he is just as effective behind it as anyone else.
Fifth straight year-end championships for Davydenko. Some remarkable consistency from the Russian. His third semi-final in this particular competition. Lost in the semis back in 2005 to David Nalbandian, of course, reached the final last year. That's an ominous sign if you're a Davydenko fan.
Yeah, and Federer's backhand has improved so much over the last 4 or 5 years. Take a brave man to call that a weakness now.
Well, it's been a tough turnaround, it has to be said, for Nikolai Davydenko. Plenty of emotion last night, plenty of adrenaline expended as well in that superb win over Robin Soderling, and just the 15 hours, as everybody's been talking about, to recover for this particular encounter. His wife, Arina. He's had good support, as Peter was saying in the studio, Davydenko, from this crowd. Concern already for Davydenko's chances in this match as Federer carves out a couple of early breakpoint chances. Couple of mistakes in the world #1 on the break points gets Davydenko back to juice. Just mum in the front of your picture, his wife Mirka behind, and Roger's father, of course. They've been present all week. mission accomplished then from Davydenko in that opening game. Huge for him to hang on. And some untidy tennis there from the Swiss superstar.
Yeah, and time will tell whether that was just a bump in the road or whether that missed opportunity will allow Davydenko into this match. Well, that might be one of the reasons why Roger Federer has had such success against Nikolai Davydenko. The second serve took the Russian well outside the tram lines. What was that?
Well, it's one of his favourite plays, isn't it? The sort of bluff and then look as though he's going to drop shot and then knock it deep. But I think he was put off by the fact that Davydenko hadn't bought into the dummy.
I could have done that.
You could have also done that in your heyday. Clinical finish from Federer. But he's yet to really found the groove that he would like.
It is nice to see Federer come into the forecourt because he has the potential to be a truly great volleyer. Get the feeling though he doesn't quite practice it enough. Or rather, if he used it more in matches, he would become a great volleyer, certainly.
So a couple of double faults puts Federer in trouble. And Davydenko a chance to make an ideal start. And Davydenko breaks. All credit to the Russian. He gets off to the ideal start. Federer behind. 1-2. Well, there's not a bad seat at the O2 Arena, but these are some of the best. A couple of the hospitality suites side by side. We're just having a look down from one of them. You can certainly enjoy the spectacle from there. Federer, though, won't be enjoying the view that he's got on the court at the moment. Break behind Davydenko, but more than that, the quality of his play below par for the world number one. How difficult is it, Pete, for Davydenko to come into this match with any real belief that he can win it being down 12-0? Impossible?
Not impossible, no. Very difficult. Because he knows that in many of the matches, 7 or 8 of the matches probably, it's been very tight. And it's just been a few points here and there. Mark, you know as well as I do that to be a tennis player, you have to be the eternal optimist. You have to just say, you know what, tomorrow's a new day, and I know I can do this better and that better, and who knows what might happen.
There were some players over the years that were unable to sort of overcome that type of deficit in head-to-heads, as we see Nikolai's brother and forever coach, as he himself says. Nikolai will never change from Edouard, knows his game better than anyone else. No need to do anything differently for him. Brad Gilbert lost to Ivan Lendl on 16 occasions, never got the win over the Czech star.
But no doubt believe that number 17 might have been the trick.
And there was also another one, wasn't there? 16-0.
Borg and Gerulaitis.
Davydenko finding the lines, neither serving particularly well, as you can see. But as Davydenko consolidates the break. And you would have seen a few of those encounters between Gerulaitis and Borg.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it was just a bad matchup for Vitas, who really wasn't the most powerful player. He was a quick player. He ran down balls, and of course Borg didn't miss balls. So Vitas just struggled to win points. As great a player as he was.
Confidence must be growing for Davydenko right now. Perhaps this could be his day. Third double fault. And 3 break points that will leave Davydenko a couple of breaks to the good. And he's given it. Well, things were looking a little ominous early on with Davydenko down a couple of break points, but he's turned this match on its head. 4-1 to the Russian. Well, a penny for his thoughts. Arguably the greatest player of all time, but certainly not exhibiting that type of tennis right now. One of the biggest occasions. And generally, at this stage of this particular tournament, he has been hugely impressive previously.
Yeah, well, he started slowly against Verdasco and also against Murray. We certainly thought that that wasn't the case today. Going up a game in 15-40, and then the bottom has dropped out. this approach shot was mishit off the frame. It gave Federer lots of time to line up the backhand topspin lob, and he certainly did that.
Oh, that's brilliant from Davydenko. Snuck in unannounced.
And that is such an effective play against Roger Federer because he defends so well with the slice backhand. He just floats the ball back deep and gives himself time to get back into the point. So if you can take that away from him, that's a coup.
Tenth unforced error already from Federer.
Well, once again, scoring with the backhand down the line. That shot will continue to improve today, no doubt about that.
That's what this crowd's going to see. Federer in full flight. And a rally that perhaps will build his confidence, starting to time the ball a little bit better, it would seem. Two breaks back, but perhaps more importantly it buys Federer even more time to get his game going.
Well, rest assured, there's no crisis of confidence inside that man right now. He knows it's just a matter of time before he starts playing the sort of tennis he's capable of.
The seventh semi-final of the World Tour Finals. His previous 6, he won 5. He's lost just the one, and that was to Leighton Hewitt back in 2002. His debut. Need the player challenging yet. That's Davydenko at his best as well, taking that ball so early, putting Federer under pressure. Yes, he's got enough angle on that one, Davydenko. Almost dragged it from behind him to create that angle.
Yeah, and Federer perhaps didn't get quite enough juice on that volley, because when the ball sits in the court like that, you can't time your split step well enough, and so sometimes you get frozen at the net.
It's a third ace, is it? It will stand. Well, the break back was just a brief respite for Federer. His struggles continue. And once again, Davydenko in the ascendancy. 5-2. Plenty of Swiss fans here, but not a lot to cheer about so far for their man. Nikolai Davydenko keeping them very quiet out here. A couple of breaks to the good. The Russian looking to win just his 5th set off Roger Federer. Federer has claimed 28 in their previous meetings. So almost half an hour gone. Davydenko with new balls, serving for a 1-set-to-love lead. You say there's no crisis of confidence. Is it just frustration at this stage that Federer will be feeling there?
Inspiration, perhaps. At some point, I think he will feel a surge of motivation. And then we will see the real Roger Federer.
No such doubts for Nikolai Davydenko in this opening set. 3 set points.
Well, that was a very difficult shot that Davydenko attempted to change directions, taking the ball on the rise. Very nearly pulled it off.
And he duly closes out the opening set. It was oh so comfortable for Nikolai Davydenko, and a remarkable start after the turnaround that he's had. 6-2.
Well, this is quite astonishing, isn't it? Don't forget the second semi-final this evening, 7 o'clock. Our build-up Sky Sports 2 and available in high definition on HD2. We've also got Bupati and Knowles against the Bryan brothers in the second of the doubles semi-finals. Soderling or Del Potro to play either Federer or, more likely at this stage, Nikolai Davydenko. Finals 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, Sky Sports 3 and HD3. So, Greg, is it going to be 13th time lucky for Davydenko after all?
I don't know yet. It was kind of a strange first set there. Roger Federer looked like he was dominant, won the first 6 points, couldn't take his 2 break chances, and then he played an awful game. 2 double faults, 2 more unforced errors, gave Davydenko that confidence where he actually got the belief in there. Then all of a sudden he turns it around, gets the break back after being down 2 breaks, and then just very flat out there, very lethargic. But Roger Federer is the world #1 for a reason. I imagine he's going to turn things around early on in his second set. He's got to serve a lot lot better, and he's got to get more energy on the court. But Davydenko, who knows? You know, this could be 13-time lucky.
Well, Greg, can you pinpoint why Federer is being so inconsistent out there at the moment?
I don't know. It's odd because he had a fabulous start. He looked in control, but sometimes when you're a little bit overconfident because you have a good record, 13-0, it just doesn't make any sense. Maybe he's a little flat from the long year, but I still expect this man to come through in 3 sets.
I was going to say, if Davydenko gets close to victory, has he got the mental strength then to be able to take that final step, having been so unsuccessful in the past against Federer?
Well, the question will be, will he hold his nerve? Because when you're 12-0 against somebody, it's very difficult to get through it. I remember I was 9-0 against Davydenko, and I was choking the first time I beat him like nobody's tomorrow. So if he can hold his nerve, maybe he can find a way, but still favor Federer to win in 3.
All right, thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
That's intriguing stuff, isn't it? On we go into set 2. Peter and Mark.
And for the neutrals, it's a perfect scenario, isn't it? Many feeling Davydenko was going to get overwhelmed. It hasn't been the case. That is something he is so good at, the Russian.
He is. That time didn't allow the second serve to kick up over his shoulders, just stepped in, took it early.
Amazing that Federer's first serve percentage could be so low. I mean, in the 40s in that opening set. I mean, you think at some stage during this tournament he's been up around the high 80s for a set.
I'm sure Federer would never admit it, but perhaps he came into this match just a little low.
Complacent?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, you have a finite store of adrenaline, and you don't want to break it out unless you need it. And I think that Federer was perhaps just a little tired, as all the players will be, coming out early on a Saturday morning to play, and thought, you know what, I'll see if I can just get through it easily. No, that's no longer the case. He needs to get the pump out.
Well, one thing for sure, he won't change his game. He'll just try and do it better. Toe-to-toe with the world #1, and once again Davydenko coming out on top. How would you sum up his first set?
Davydenko's?
Yeah. Solid?
Yeah. Great.
Not exceptional.
The same as he's played all 3 matches thus far this week. He's been great. Yeah, and he's just beating Federer to the punch now. Taking the ball early.
The 28-year-old Russian just couldn't quite make the adjustment that was needed with the feet there after the net cord from Federer. Right now, the Russian just managing his tennis. That much better. 8 winners, 5 unforced errors. Federer with the 14 winners, but the 13 unforced errors. Superb length once again from the Russian. Not allowing Federer to get on the front foot and boss the points in the manner that he likes to do. Once again coming up with something quite outrageous. Didn't even think he was going to get there.
Well, we know he's fast. Didn't think there was going to be a huge problem to get this ball, but look at the touch. He is certainly not known for this sort of shot. The stars are aligned, Mark.
Some effort. He's brought a couple of highlights already to this match, Davydenko. Federer starting to find a real good rhythm early on at the second set with his serve. He's just missed the one first serve now. Just slowed it down a little bit in that game to find it. So no breaks early on in the second set. 2-1 Federer. Well, all smiles in the Russian camp right now. Davydenko, their man, up by a set, but Federer starting to perhaps get out of second gear, which he's been stuck in for the majority of this contest. Take nothing away from Davydenko. He's done what he's needed to do to be in this situation.
And one of the reasons why Federer has such supreme confidence is that, okay, physically there are a number of players who are very strong. Federer amongst the strongest, but mentally and emotionally, he can just keep powering on. When most player starts to feel doubts or just starts to fatigue mentally, lose their concentration, Federer gets stronger and stronger as the match wears on.
That is a strong approach shot from Davydenko.
But one of the few bad errors from Davydenko thus far today.
I suppose also in the back of Federer's mind, the one additional advantage that he does have coming into this match is a fatigue factor, given what Davydenko's been through in the last 15 hours. The longer he can just extend it, got to feel there's going to be some drop-off from Davydenko. He's done it again at the net.
Well, interesting shot selection here from Federer. Very conservative, just chipped it back, almost expecting Davydenko to volley back to him. And the Russian greatly improved in the forecourt over the last year or so.
And he keeps responding with some great tennis in difficult moments, Davydenko. It's one of the reasons why I feel as though Federer has been successful against Davydenko is his ability to get enough balls back in the play that defends situations very well in the baseline. Not always have to go out there and win them. Wait for the errors from Davydenko. There's just been a few signs in this game that perhaps a few more are coming from the Russian. Well, Roger had a good look at this. Wasn't entirely sure because he took a while to decide to challenge. It might prove pivotal. Davydenko once again keeping Federer at bay. Quality tennis from the Russian.
Yeah, and you were talking about Federer's ability to defend, waiting for Davydenko's errors, and Davydenko will make errors. He often does, but he really hasn't made too many this week, has he?
Arduous game, but he comes through it unscathed. As you say, Pete, he really hasn't made too many errors. Fairly flawless. Maybe a late night with the kids.
Maybe it was Roger's turn last night. I don't know. They both look a little fatigued this morning.
Well, he says she's too quick for him. She's already looking after the kids before he can get up. The fact that he even hears the kid in the middle of the night, I think, is an achievement. So Federer again eases his way through another service game in this second set and leads 3-2. Well, number one starting to get a little bit of traction in this first of today's semi-finals. It hasn't been a classic so far. We've had a large majority of the matches in the group stages that were. But it's starting to build perhaps into one here in the second set.
Well, Davydenko doesn't often have classic matches like that because there's not a lot of ebb and flow in his matches, are there? He doesn't defend. He just rams his head against the wall and see if he can break through.
Oh, that is so impressive from Davydenko. And it's one of the reasons why this is his 5th consecutive World Tour finals, because his game hasn't stood still at all.
Yeah, if you'd say who is one of the most improved players this year, it's got to be him. Del Potro and Davydenko, I think, both fit into that category. Can you explain to me how he gets so much power on his serve?
Well, I was wondering, because obviously I made the point earlier in the week about the way that he's starting to string his racket, that I just wonder whether that's been the difference to how he's managing to generate this pace. I mean, that's 130 out wide. Davydenko has gone for this strange stringing pattern where the main strings are all one tension. The top 5 cross strings are at a looser tension, and then slightly tighter are the rest of the cross strings. And I'm just wondering whether it's got this trampoline effect at the top of the racket where he's connecting with the ball, and so it's able to fizz off a little bit more.
Could be.
And yet the sweet spot is still giving him control with his rallying shots. Oh, he's found a piece of that line, because we do see at times with Davydenko some really wild errors, don't we, where the ball just seems to fly on him. And I wonder whether that's the time he gets it at the top of the frame, and that's why it goes out by some considerable distance. Oh! Well, that's what he can do. Davydenko hoping he can't repeat that too often. He's starting to be impressive on serve in this second set, something that he was unable to be in the opening set. He's dropped just 2 points on serve. 4-3 Federer. Federer with a new racket. Change of balls coming in one game, as is his custom. And the 4-time champion of the World Tour Finals, perhaps building up a head of steam here. Davydenko, of course, would dearly love to wrap this up in 2 sets. What an atmosphere.
Exactly. 17,500 people who hope he does not wrap it up. And it's rough, isn't it? Not only do you have to deal with Federer mounting a comeback, but you've got the will of so many thousands saying, please play a third set.
That is some outrageous defense. And when you see points like that go Davydenko's way, you do just start to wonder, is it going to be the Russian's day?
Yeah, and Federer surely must have been thinking, oh my God, he didn't pit that over, did he? Oh, how did I miss that? There was probably a 95% chance that he was going to win that point. So that's a good play. He just drove it right through him, beat him with pace. And Federer did well just to get to the ball. And in those close quarters, very difficult to react quickly enough.
And again, excellent defense from Davydenko.
Yeah, but he pulled up in an awkward way there, Davydenko. Almost as though he felt a quick pain, but he looks all right now, thankfully.
Federer ambling up to the mark, but no real doubt in his mind that Davydenko had found the spot he wanted to hit. His third ace. He had never been able to take the opening set off the world #1 in their previous 12 meetings.
That's incredible. Play some guy 12 times and never ever win the first set. So this is a watershed event regardless of how it finishes.
That is a stunning drive. I mean, the length that ball had to travel.
So close.
Absolutely the right play as well. By such margins, though, a match is won and lost. And if there is an injury, certainly Federer testing it out there.
Yeah, and that addition to Federer's game, something that he has developed over the last year or two, and it really is a welcome one.
the stakes mount and the pressure mounts for the world number one.
Well, the return to serve just not quite deep enough.
Awkward moment, but Federer comes through it, and he's well, just the game away from leveling things up, but he wouldn't bet on him doing it. 5-4. And the Swiss fans still believe, and so they should. He's a winner through and through, Roger Federer. And in many ways, the fact that he's not playing as well, we get to see another side of his character, that deep desire to win.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. How many times have we seen Federer not perform at his best, but still somehow scrape out a win?
Just a little glance down the court there, Federer, to see how Davydenko was feeling after that one.
Yeah, and the jury's still out. I'm not sure if Davydenko was feeling quite as spry as he was at the start.
It was interesting early on in that rally there, and all credit to Davydenko this, that Federer didn't jump round the ball to get it on his backhand side because he couldn't commit himself to the backhand corner because Davydenko has kept him off balance. Scored enough times with that double-hander up the line. Federer played through the pressure in the previous game. Can Davydenko do the same here? That pressure has just intensified. The first break points of the set for either man. There are also, of course, 2 set points.
Well, Davydenko hit that smash in the one place that Federer couldn't return, right at the body.
to seal the second set. A rally that had a bit of everything in it, but ultimately Federer wins it. A set apiece.
Well, 17,500 people are delighted. They wanted a third set, except perhaps those who really had Nikolai Davydenko in their hearts. But it's gripping stuff, and there's more to come this evening, of course. We're back live again at 7 o'clock, Sky Sports 2 and HD2 for the second semi-final. Robin Soderling against Juan Martin Del Potro, and a top-class double semi-final as well, with the Bryan brothers up against Bupati and Knowles. And tomorrow it all reaches a conclusion at 12:30, Sky Sports 3 and HD3, with the doubles final followed by the singles final. Right, let's go courtside again. Greg, you were still tipping Roger Federer after that first set, and he is back in the contest.
Well, he served so much better in that second set. I mean, he only had that one difficult service game at 4-all, and then he just was growing in confidence and growing in confidence. And I'm not so sure at 15-40 it was a good idea to smash that ball at Roger, because his concentration just went up. I expect him to come through. Davydenko looks a little bit tired out there, but, you know, Davydenko played some great defense out there, but I still tip Roger Federer to come through.
Mind you, the one thing we have learned this week, Greg, is that you can never write off Nikolai Davydenko.
No, Davydenko's been superb. I picked Soderling to win. Barry Cowan picked Davydenko, and he was right. Davydenko came through. He finds a way to do it, and he will give 100% because he wants to try to beat Federer somehow.
Are the Russian fans making themselves heard still? I know there's a lot of Federer supporters dotted all over the place.
Well, I think there's a lot of Federer support here today. There's a few Russians out there, but they're being drowned out by the Federer fans. They want to see a Federer final, basically, so they want their man to come all the way through.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Well, it's starting to look as though they'll get their wish. There is Roger's father, Robert. We heard from him earlier this week. And the rest of the Federer clan, his agent and his wife, in earnest conversation. Why did he start slowly for the fourth time running? Perhaps the conversation they're having at the moment. May have started slowly, but he's warming up nicely. He's got the buzz. So, it's a deciding set. Back to the commentary box, Peter Fleming and Mark Petchey.
So it was all on the line for Federer in that second set, as it was against Del Potro, a set that he needed to win. He managed to win them on both occasions. The improvement in the tennis between these two quite considerable. Both playing well now.
Yeah, and Davydenko has become Mr. Slice, hasn't he? I mean, forehands, backhands, it doesn't matter. He can put it in the court now. But of course, the slice will always be plan B or plan C for Davydenko, because that's what he does best. Drive the return, take control of the rally early. A slight mishit from the Russian there left him in woeful shape. Interesting to see if we see a replay on that, because it looked like Federer was going to play the ball before the call came.
Ideal start for the world number one, and he responded in that second set. He elevated his level of play, rose to the challenge from Davydenko. Interesting to see is whether Davydenko can match Federer now. The world #1 is starting to play some of his best tennis.
Well, he's moved up into the court just a bit more, Federer, as he needed to. The first set, he was bossed around left, right, and center by Davydenko. Rare is the occasion, though, that Roger Federer does not learn from an adverse situation. So important for Davydenko to hold serve this game. Can't let this match run away from him. Well, certainly not shrinking from the challenge.
That's a good hold from Davydenko.
That certainly was. Certainly was. He steadied his nerve and came out and played some rock solid tennis.
No real indication as well that physically he's dropping off.
He looks good.
Well, Federer thought it was going in. He certainly invested a lot of energy trying to track it down. Showed a bit of imagination, hasn't he, Davydenko, on these types of shots today?
He really has.
The drop shot once again aiding his progress. 2-1, final set, Federer. Well, lots of Swiss flags. They were at half-mast in the opening set. Not quite sure what to make of it, but normal service has been resumed to some degree. But there's still a long way to go for Federer if he is to make it through to his 6th final at the World Tour Finals. Davydenko, runner-up last year in Shanghai to Novak Djokovic, looking to try and repeat at least that feat. it's a shame. He's looked very comfortable up there.
Consistently serving at 128, 129, 130.
There were some that were presuming that Federer would run away with this final set. It's not proving to be the case at all. Still on then to record his first ever win over the world number one. But I suppose, Peter, if you're a betting man, you'd be leaning towards Federer right now.
I think so, certainly. You don't go 12-0 over someone and not have a deep reserve of belief.
Again, Davydenko struggling to make any sort of impression on the Federer server in the final set. Struggling to pick up games, points. Federer, however, adds another game to his collection. 3-2. Davydenko still in with a shout here of getting past Roger Federer.
Davydenko must hold serve, because remember how we were talking about Federer's woeful first serve percentage in the first set in the 40s. So far this set 77%. He is on his game now, at least in that department.
Davydenko not doing a bad job on his first serve in this final set either. 73% for the Russian. This opening 6 games, the final set, a real tribute to Davydenko's own self-belief. We've obviously talked about Federer's. He's got in abundance, but the Russian showing he's not that far behind right now.
And what a welcome game that will be. Love service hold right in the heart of the final set. Can he use that as a launch pad for the break?
Well, he was testing Federer's passing shots again.
Yeah, and look at how much topspin Federer gets on that ball. It just dropped off a cliff. And the Russian perhaps not quite as explosive in his movement as he was in the first set.
Well, that is irresistible hitting. That is wonderful to watch. Met a lot of fans this week in London, Davydenko. He just wishes that this was the surface that was at Wimbledon.
Should he make a request?
I think he might struggle, though, with that particular request. Federer, though, doesn't want anything to change, not especially his lead. 4-3.
Time.
Well, no guessing who they're here to watch. The rising star in the men's game, Juan Martín del Potro, US Open champion. Al Davydenko would love to add a major title next to his name. Perhaps he would be appreciated a little bit more for the tremendous tennis that he produces. First, though, he'd like to score a win over this man. It wasn't his best at the net, Davydenko, but it was good enough.
Once again ghosting in. Yeah, he gave Federer another bite at the cherry, but couldn't quite control the lob.
He's done a great job there, Davydenko, keeping Federer off balance. Rarely do you see the #1 having to stretch out so often.
You're right. He's gone behind him. He's gone in front of him. He's gone right at him. He's mixed things up beautifully.
This is just an outstanding effort from Davydenko. It truly is. Nobody gave him much chance coming into this match, and I don't think many would have given him much chance coming into this match, even if he hadn't have been playing at 11 o'clock last night.
Well, exactly. Federer has been successful in opening up the court so many times in this third set, out wide with the slice in the deuce court and the kicker in the ad.
And he's stolen that point away. Industrious play once again from Davydenko.
Yeah, got the lob up very quickly. Federer just not able to get enough power on that backhand smash.
It was just the solitary point though once again that Davydenko was able to take off Federer's serve. World #1, 5-4, final set. The moment of truth arrives for both men. Davydenko, in many ways, so tantalizingly close to scoring his first ever victory over the world #1, and what a stage to do it on as well. Can you believe it?
This is a very edgy game for Davydenko. Last thing he wanted was to start it off with a net cord that falls against him.
Unbelievable. Not quite as good as the between the shots leg that he hit at the US Open against Djokovic, but it's up there.
Yeah, we've seen him hit this shot once before anyway, remember? Smash off the smash. No one does it as well as Roger Federer. And what a time for it as well.
looks tight, but Peter Fleming with his hawk eyes is indicating to me that that ball was long. He never questioned Peter's judgment. Huge kudos to Davydenko after what happened in the opening points of this game. To be at game point speaks volumes for the Russians' resistance.
Wow. From love 30 down, 4-5 in the final set, Nikolai Davydenko played perhaps the perfect game.
And can you believe how good the tennis is?
Yeah, both players have officially entered the zone. This is incredible tennis.
Davydenko showing no signs of wilting at all.
Yeah, and that word's not even in his vocabulary.
Been his go-to play, hasn't it? Serve out wide, taking Davydenko off the court and trying to find some space. Davydenko anticipated it, but just couldn't get enough on the return.
Well, that squash shot has been very effective for the Russian today. That ball skidded right through the court, stayed very low.
Suddenly, Davydenko with a break point.
Shows the confidence he has in his second serve. To challenge and have to wait.
Davydenko breaks. What a stunning return from the Russian. How courageous. Davydenko will serve for the match. Well, none of the fans this week have gone home unhappy with what they've seen, although that man there, Roger Federer's father, may not be best pleased with the outcome of this one. Quality of tennis once again exceptional in this final set. An hour and 50 minutes. And Davydenko on the brink of securing not only a place in the final of the World Tour Finals, but also his first ever victory over Roger Federer. That's not a bad way to start the game, is it?
Not at all.
That's just what we needed, Peter. A little more tension.
Interesting point there from Federer. Didn't go for the huge forehands, just rolled it deep, kept the pressure on. Waited for the Davydenko error.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Just perfectly measured. Sometimes, you know, he may overhit, but this game has been virtually the perfect game from Roger Federer.
perfect response. Extraordinary.
That time, Davydenko not following the script. Match point.